Alright, so it's a video to review my trade today on BBIG and I guess talk about this major setback for me and how I can avoid it in the future. And then just briefly look at a few stocks for tomorrow. I'm not super excited about anything, but let's start off with BBIG. So in total, on Friday I lost about 5,000. Then yesterday I lost about, sorry, that's not true. Let's say 6,000. Yesterday I lost, let's say, 11,500. So that's about 1,700. And then today I made back about 5,000. Basically, I put way too much side, and I was very aggressive very early into this setup, which the setup is a multi-day runner. The same setup I had trouble with on CEI back in September, more or less. Although the stock price was severely different. This one went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 green days before it had its massive collapse. And BBIG did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it had its massive collapse. So the two things I noticed through talking to a few other traders and through looking over the stock is one way to try to avoid this is using prior day risk levels and kind of using those risk levels to identify front side and back side and stay into fewer sides, which would be 1/10 of my full size as long as it's on my front side. On the front side, not my front side. Okay, so to identify the front side, what I would use is the prior day's support. If it gets over this, it's still front side. So this first day, it was under it for a few minutes, popped over, and then ramped back over and held the whole day. Same thing for this day. This day it gapped down a little bit, then it got over and pushed all the way up. As soon as it's after 10:30 and over the front side support, there's no reason for me to have any sides at all. So that takes out the whole day of trading here and here. And again, same thing on Friday. Friday had a gap, so first the small gap, and again, it had a narrow range here. If it had a massive gap, I would be a little more convinced about the short. But this is a small gap, and it never even got near these support levels, so it was always front side here. And I guess you could have considered if the bottom support broke, would have been backside, but that didn't break until today, and it took about a good part of the morning to get there. So yesterday, I was talking to another trader, and he said, well, how do you identify front side and backside? And I've never really outwardly identified it. I use key levels to help me size in. But this idea of using yesterday's support really seemed to help me today, because I just said, okay, 550s is the support. So under 550s, I'll consider it pretty much failed backside. Unfortunately, I had to work between 6:30 and 7:30 today, so this collapse started while I was working. Then at the end of my class, I looked and I saw it was collapsing, and I just started just slamming some orders irresponsibly. I think down here in the 480s, no 580s, no, not 580s. What was it? Let's just take a peek when it was. Yeah, here in the 480s. So there's a horrible entries. And I should at least expect this level to get tested. It never did, never got up there, but it had a failed bounce up to the 530s. So that's one way. And the other way is waiting for the massive gap. Here's the massive gap. It wasn't as good as I hope. Usually I hope it just gaps and grinds and has a massive collapse, and I can get a lot more of the move. Here I only got about half of the move. And the move is always 50% from the top, give or take. It depends on the stock. So then the last thing I did wrong on the day where I finally nailed it is I was just too aggressive and too much FOMO, because I got on my class, I was already breaking down, so I put some orders in down here. Of course, it's okay, but I should do it in a way that I'm comfortable with it bouncing up to the 550s, which I was not. And then if it breaks the levels, then I can size in. But, I was so aggressive because I wanted to make sure that I had as much size on as I could so I could make a big trade. And then my covers, more or less pretty good. I wanted to hold into 4s or 380s. It did get to 4s, but I just, at the same time, wanted to lock in a big win and feel better about myself for a moment in time. So that's that. Using prior day risk levels, sizing in responsibly on frontside, meaning feeler size pretty much. And then tomorrow, I guess I don't really have much I'm interested in trading. BBIG, I still have it on watch. Like it had a nice pop. The market closed. Like that, I was thinking I should just short it, but I don't know. It's not something I habitually do. It's not really a part of my strategy, but man, what an opportunity. Nice, more than a nice single right there. I still think this goes to 380s. If this gaps up and pushes again, maybe like 460s or 480s, I could see myself shorting this and hoping for the eventual slam to 380s, maybe tomorrow, maybe not, but I'm sure it will provide a single. And then I had Pixie. This is up a lot, but kind of strange. It's not. I don't like the price range, to be honest. On this day pre-market, it went way higher. I think like 280s or something. No volume behind that move. And I mean, ideally, if it could run into this, like that would be a huge opportunity. But I don't think it's going to do that. So I think there's some resistance around 250s, and then it's filled 3 under these fills once. I'm going to watch it. I don't really have plans to trade it. And lastly is Vivos, I think. Yeah, Vivos. This is just not up enough. Volume. History of fill spikes. I'm sure there's some dilution and other problems with the company, but again, not up enough. Not huge range. I'm going to leave it. And hopefully there's something juicier tomorrow, but good time to sit on my hands, calm down, size down. And oh yeah, actually I have rally too. I took a few shares of this today around 850s and it didn't work. They squeezed me out. And then I took a few FOMO shares down here because I think it's done. If it looks like it's going to crack this 760s, I'm going to add more. And goal is to swing it down to around 5s, low 5s. But that's it for today.